Anthony Adebayo. We off the record.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes.
You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5. We off the record.
We're different from any other sports.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B. We off the record. We off the record. Yo. Oh,
What's up?
Hey, I like my tools, man.
Hey, pause. No, but it was a nice touch with the horns.
All right, hold on. Let's get a hand clap. You know. Okay.
Slowly but surely, you're figuring it all out. I have to give you your credit on that.
Thank you, man. Hold on, wait. Scotty's giving me props. Oh, this is gonna be a good show, baby.
You know what? The crazy part about it is normally we talk sparingly throughout the week. You know, we'll talk a little bit more on Wednesday, Tuesday, or whatnot. I feel like this week I've talked to you every single day. So it's like nothing left to like really catch up on. Like you added me, or I want to say Ern added me to the WhatsApp, and you know everybody's got their little group chats and stuff. So I feel like I'm more involved in all of our friendships and stuff. You know, I feel like I've shut out all my friendships by not having that WhatsApp. So
yeah, man. Definitely. So even though I've talked to you every day since last what day was that? Wednesday when we got
Wednesday. Yeah.
How was your weekend?
You know what? This has been one of the best weeks since COVID. Just with having all the sports to just watch. Between baseball has been phenomenal. The WNBA has been phenomenal. The NBA has been phenomenal. Keeping up with the storylines and the NFL, just having that sports back is just really
absolutely.
This has been good, man. It's been really good.
Absolutely, and I remember, you know, we're gonna go back in memory lane, in let's say April. Let's use April for example. April, when we have nothing, we was grabbing at straws. We was like, all right, what are we gonna talk about? And we would like literally before the show, like, all right, we can talk about this. Then The Last Dance came out. They moved that up. So we had that to talk about. And but now, you know, football's back, basketball's playoffs, baseball's back, WNBA, you got some boxing, you got hockey. So we love it. So we got a full show. I'll tell you this. I am gonna change this thing because this is like bugging me out, man. It was like so close to my face. So we just let's start NFL. Let's start NFL.
Okay.
And I hate to do this, but I gotta do this. Yo, let's shout out to the Washington football team, man. You know, they've had a lot of bad press like lately, like really, really bad press. They have to change their name. You know, they had those scandals within the office. But shout out to them for hiring Jason Wright, the first black team president.
You know, like you said, shout them out for that. For the first time in probably the last 20, 25 years, I feel like Washington's heading in the right direction. I feel like that, you know, with the name change, even though, you know, they'll get a name, hiring Ron Rivera, you know, bringing in Wright. It seems like they're legitimately trying to shift their culture. And that's really what they needed is a culture change.
Absolutely.
Get rid of the bad apples, get back to basics, be disciplined, and you'll be surprised at where your franchise will go. Just doing those just fundamental things that you would think that every team does. But for years, we've been hearing that the Washington football team's culture has been horrific.
Right. And I agree. And it has been. And one of the things he said he was going to do, was change the culture. And this is a step in the right direction. I was gonna go back to my petty, but I'll wait. I think that again they have a minority head coach. They have a minority in the front office, and if they continue to go in this route, then matter of fact, they have a woman that as their lead play-by-play person. So now, I mean, I've seen some people on Twitter and Facebook and things say they're just doing this for publicity, and I'm like, so, I mean, because they don't have a choice. They don't have so much bad pub these last few months that they have to do something, and if not them, then who? Because it has to start somewhere.
Yeah, well, part of changing the culture is creating a diverse workplace or a diverse environment, and you can't continue to do things the way that you've done them in the past. Like if you want changes, you have to make legitimate, real changes. So it looks like they're saying all the right things. Some of their actions are matching what they're saying. They still have a extremely long way to go, but it's a step in the right direction. Something I wanted to bring up to you, though, to get away from the Reds, the Washington football team. What did you think about Gerald McCoy being cut by the Cowboys today?
All right, so I was a little – because I am a Cowboys fan, but it kind of struck me like, why? I mean, I understood he was going to be out for the season, but this is another reason why I say I'm always for the players getting their money. You know what I'm saying? Because one injury, and granted, he has had, injuries with his quad, and they mainly cut him because of the language in his contract. And it's like, why do you think these running backs are holding out? These quarterbacks are holding out when the first sign of an injury or he has an injury, they cut him. And they cut him, and they saved themselves. I think they saved themselves some money, but it ain't right, man. I didn't, because and I like Gerald McCoy as a player. Don't know him as a person, but I like him as a player. He's a vet. So, granted, there are a lot of vets on that team, and granted, they did sign Everson Griffin last week. But there's something about having veteran presence in a locker room. And he knows the game. He's a Pro Bowler. So, I don't understand why cut him. Why cut him?
I mean, because it made good football sense. I mean, it's tough to really feel sorry for him because he did get to keep the $3 million signing bonus. I believe it was a 3-year, $18 million deal. So the Cowboys, it made good business sense. But what it highlighted is when you play for a team, they're going to make decisions that best set them up. They're not going to all the time take into consideration what type of player you are, who you are. They're going to make the decision that makes sense. And I think a lot of the players have just gotten hip to the fact that they're dispensable. And you have to get your money when you can, because if you don't, you're one play away from losing it all, not having another opportunity. I mean, you're just that close. I mean, you look at a player like Gerald McCoy. 2-3 years ago, he was one of the top players at his position. I mean, he was, to me, in my mind, the heartbeat of that Tampa Bay defense. And you look at him a couple years later, and he's out. I mean, he's out for the season. I do think at some point he will play football again. Will he be offered that much money? No, because he's coming back from an injury, and he's basically at the bottom of the totem pole. So, yeah, man, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, and it happens. We know what happens, but this shows like fans and just the common fan, the avid fans. You can't be mad at these guys for holding out, for trying to get their money. You know, when a team has so much control over you, and that's why you see NBA players. They pretty much are in control right now. And football players are trying to get that type of control. It's going to take a little bit longer, but they are getting there, and that's a good step. Before, you know, we got people on Facebook, on YouTube. Comment on which I feel on how y'all feel about Jason Wright getting becoming the first black team president, Gerald McCoy, and everything else we talk about. Make sure you comment and we'll post it and we'll see. And then don't worry, at the end we're still gonna make sure that Scotty B's his friends, you know, please guys follow Scotty on social.
So look, right? I got a comment about that. My friends have increased on both platforms. So I've got some more followers. I've got some more followers out there. I'm right there. I'm coming.
Yo, shout out to Scotty. So you hang out with me over the weekend, and now you
that's
get
it. That's what happened. I got friends, man.
So all right, so you want to stay football? I mean, real quick, you were real harsh on Hard Knocks last week. Was it any better this week?
You know what? I was so harsh on the Hard Knocks last week. I didn't watch it this week.
Oh my God. All right. Well,
I mean, I'll go back, but it's one of them shows that you set the DVR for, and you know what? I'll watch it when I have time. So it went from being the show that you're DVR, but you're watching it too. So you really don't necessarily need the DVR to that show to where you like, nah, I'll catch up on it.
Okay. All right. So the playoffs. Second.
Where do you even want to start there?
We'll start with the playoff and the number one seeds. Both number one seeds went down last night. The Bucks looked terrible against the Magic, and later on that evening, the Lakers, they just looked out of sync against the Blazers. I personally think that both teams are going to win their series. I don't think there's going to be an 8 seed that advances. Because even in that Lakers game last night, I'm watching it and I'm like, these guys are gassed. They were up 2. LeBron missed 2. AD missed 2 free throws. Then LeBron missed 2 free throws. And after Danny Green got that steal in the layup, it was tied up. They could have been up 4, maybe even 6. You know, and then for whatever reason, the Blazers went from looking tired to the best 3-point shooting team in America.
So, all right. So I've got the Milwaukee Orlando game. That was pure coaching. It was coaching, and they were off. It's no secret, man. The Bucks have looked terrible since they entered the bubble. I think that's probably the one team that people had higher expectations for, even myself. You know, I picked them to come out of the East. Orlando execute their game plan, flawlessly. They clogged the middle to where they couldn't drive. They forced them to shoot. And then, offensively, nobody else on the Bucks really took care of business. They didn't pick up the slack. You know what I mean? They didn't.
Like what we talked about.
Huh?
I said kind of like what we talked about, where they don't have that second or third guy.
Right. And again, Mike Budenholzer, he failed to make the adjustments. You know what I mean? He failed to look at what they were doing and say, all right, we're going to change our defensive scheme. Belichick, he killed. He had 35 points. And, you look at some of those defensive possessions to where the guy was trying to front him, and he had easy backdoor stuff. It just was a poorly executed game plan. I do think that the Bucks are going to bounce back from that. But if they continue to not be inspired, because it didn't look like it was a lot of effort there. They got to find the intensity, and somebody else has got to step up. It's playoff basketball. They got to go. The Lakers are in some trouble. They're in trouble. I think that they can win, but so Russell, Russell, a lot of things I saw wrong. LeBron James can't play that style of basketball for the rest of the series. Nope. He cannot be the facilitator. I know that's what he's best at. He led the league in assists, but King James, you have nobody to pass the ball to. Like literally, other than AD, you have to be that scorer. You got to be that killer. You cannot defer in this series.
So what should his line be for them in order for them to win?
He's got to be 35, 8 and 8. Forget the 23, 17 and 16 or whatever it was. I mean, that was a phenomenal performance, but they need somebody to score. That team, what I saw yesterday, the Lakers are not a very good team outside of Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Not having Rondo and not having Avery Bradley are huge losses. Now, obviously, you got two of the top 5 players, and a lot of people think, you could just put them with anybody. And for the most part, I mean, they're stout down low. I mean, Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, Morris, I mean, those guys hold it down. But they need scoring. They need to put the ball in the basket. What I saw yesterday, they need spacing. So Danny Green's got to figure out where his shot is. Dion Waiters, he can't be playing 1 minute. J.R. Smith, he's got to get in the game. They need spacing. Kuzma, he's got to figure it out. I told you a while ago when everybody thought I was crazy. I would have traded Kuzma and kept Brandon Ingram. It was just me. I said that a lot.
So here's the thing, though. And I agree. The problem is, I don't think you're getting AD if you don't trade Brandon Ingram.
I think they would have took Kuzma. I think they would have took Kuzma, Ball, and Hart. I think that's the deal that they wanted. Personally, I think they just went ahead and they say, you know what, we'll give you Ingram. I think the Lakers felt like Kuzma was better than Ingram. He just needed to be developed. They felt like his upside was better. I think, and Charles Barkley said a lot of things, and we'll get into Charles Barkley's comments. But one thing that he was right about was Kuzma was putting up numbers on it wasn't a very bad Laker team, but it wasn't a good Laker team. Right. Now that it's prime time, you're playing with who you need to play with. It's time to do it. It's time to put up that team needs a legitimate third option.
They do. I mean, and so here's my argument with the third option thing, right? So most teams don't have like a legit third option where it's like, this is our if these two go down, this is our go-to guy. You know, the Clippers do have Lou Williams, right? But most other teams, well, the Blazers may. I think the Blazers have Carmelo, and they have Nurkic. No, not Nurkic. Yeah, Nurkic. With the Lakers, I think they could get that third option from so many other different places. They don't have to get it from one person consistently. Now, it should be Kuzma. You know? It should be Kuzma. But I think some days it could be Danny Green. Well, it may not even be Danny Green. I don't know what's up with Danny Green. I don't know, what he's doing, where he's going. It could be J.R. Smith sometimes. It could be Waiters. They have a number of guys who can play that third role. So it's like, yo, listen, you have to. My son is calling me.
This is getting it in.
Yeah. So you have to Xavier Wade. You have to just get it from all over. You have to get it from all over. So they have to do something.
Yeah, but here's my thing, right? And I won't disagree with that because again, I got the Lakers and the Bucks. Like that's like my pick. And you don't want to be the guy that overreacts after one game. But
Right.
what I will say about the Lakers, and it was like a light bulb went off yesterday when I saw them playing.
Mhm.
They resemble every other LeBron James team that I can remember. And
Right.
that's a solid 2 or 3 players and a bunch of hanger-oners. A whole bunch of guys that are sitting there taking a jersey spot that they gotta play. They gotta play. So LeBron James, what he should be thinking about right now is how he could be that killer that he's been his whole career.
Right.
He has to put this team on his back. I know they got AD, and it's going to take an effort from him too. He's going to play better. He's going to get better, but he's got to be that killer that he was in Miami when he was with the Cavaliers. He's not going to be able to sit back and just say, "Okay, I'm just going to run the point," and it just is what it is. Nah, dog. You got to put up them 40. You got to put up them 45. Like you got to be that unstoppable guy that. It was said today,
You
right?
gotta be the MVP.
You got to be the MVP, and you got to take it. Because you look at these Blazers, right?
Mhm.
They're already in a playoff mindset. Their
Right.
back was against the wall when they came into the bubble. You know what I mean? It was basically like, hey, look, we have to win every game. Did they win every game? No. But the mindset was that we lose a game, we could be going home.
Right.
So they came out like, hey, it's us against the world. Nobody even thought that we'd be here. We're going to put up a fight.
Absolutely.
And Dame Lillard is that killer. He is that guy. He's got to, LeBron James has got to pick up the pace. And it's on him. It is on him. Because I want to tell you the other thing too.
Uh-huh.
And I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. If he goes out the first round, Paul Pierce said it. He said it today. And he's right. This will be a stain on his legacy.
Yeah, but Paul Pierce is like
He's a hater.
Yeah, and he's like a bitter ex-girlfriend. I mean, him saying that listen, LeBron James could lose in the first round this year. He'll still be a top 5 all-time player.
He'll still be a top 5.
Top 3.
He'll still be a top 3.
But Paul Pierce is saying he's not even in the top 5.
Yeah, okay, so that was a bit overkill. So just like all Charles Barkley statements yesterday, maybe it was just a bit much, but he is right in the sense that if he goes out the first round, it looks bad. It looks really, really bad because he has Anthony Davis. It's not like the old Cleveland teams that he's got to drag along, or he's got another top 5 player on his team. They should be able to figure out how to get it done against an 8th seed.
Yeah, but so here's the thing with that. Yes, it would be a stain, no matter how you look at it, because they were a 1 seed. They came in, but this hasn't been a normal year. This is not your normal 8th seed. And so, yes, it'll leave a stain, but I think that they want to I don't want to sound like I'm giving them a pass, because I'm not giving the Lakers a pass, but they will have that excuse kind of built in. 2 of their top guards are not there. It'll be a stain. I'll leave it at that. It'll be a stain. They'll look bad, and I mean, I don't know how you. I mean, I guess you come back next year and try again, but I don't know, man. If the Lakers lose in the first round, that would be worse than the Bucks losing in the first round.
Absolutely, and I want to tell you this too, right? So LeBron James has nothing else to prove in his career. right? So if he loses in the first round, life will go on. I mean, they'll beat him up. You know, people will talk about it
Mm-hmm.
the next year, just like him missing the playoffs, right? You know, I mean, he was hurt. People will build in their excuses. And I feel like they had a legitimate excuse last year. It was a legitimate reason why they didn't make the playoffs.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that we're watching, and he's got to be able to turn it on. And same with Anthony Davis too, because see, Anthony Davis, he's gotten, I don't want to say a pass because he hasn't gotten a pass, and he's totally capable of the title of being one in top 5 players. But again, this Laker town, you know what I mean? The Lakers, people are watching and they want to see like how good are you? And that's when everybody's tuned in. Everybody's tuned in now to see what they're gonna do.
So aside from the Lakers and the Bucks, what matchup has intrigued you so far? We've seen every game. We've seen every game at least once. Every matchup at least once. What matchup has like? I want to sit down and watch every game of this series.
So this is gonna sound weird, and it's gonna sound like a cop out. Everyone first. I want to answer that question. This has been a fascinating playoffs. Just with they brought it up last night. They talked about the teams not having to travel, not having the distractions, and we're seeing a good brand of basketball. I mean, players are really elevating their game.
Mm-hmm.
The series that I like the most right now is Dallas Clippers.
I'm glad you brought that up. And mind you, I didn't know you was going to say that. I actually thought you were going to say OKC Houston, right?
That's another. Hey, that's another tough one.
So before I get into this Mavericks Clippers thing, because I have a few things to get off my chest in regards to the Clippers. 2 things. Do you think that the bubble could be like this? Could be something that they do constantly in the future, as far as like have a regular season and then the playoffs bring to a bubble. Do you think that this is something that they would consider doing yearly?
So it's a couple of things, right? I do think it's something that they get consider doing yearly. It takes the home court advantage away. So it gets into like, what are you really competing for during the year? This Portland Lakers series might be much different if the Lakers had home court advantage and Portland was having to travel back to LA and so it takes that out of it. So I don't know if people will be totally on board with it.
Right.
You got to think the concentration and you're seeing the players being zeroed in has to do with them not have to worry about traveling,
right.
Not having to worry about getting outside distractions with getting people tickets and just being able to really just focus on basketball. So yeah, I think it's been some good points.
All right, and so because I've always since this started, since that basketball came back, I've always felt like they have it's felt like an NCAA tournament type feel. It's had that feel to it because you have games at 1:00. I think there's been games at noon, so it's had like an NCAA tournament type feel to it. So I agree. I don't think this is going to be something that happen again unless the pandemic continues. But I think after this year, it's going to get to the point where everybody's going to be like, listen, we got to get to our home courts and things of that nature. They're not going to do this bubble again. I just don't think it's going to happen again, even with the season. But let me get to these Clippers.
Well, one thing to add to that before you get to the Clippers,
all right.
Well, maybe they meet it in the middle, right? Maybe they don't necessarily go with the bubble, but having like you said, an NCAA type tournament style to where maybe for a month they all meet in the city, and they figure out the housing arrangements. Maybe they could bring their families, and they have that type of deal. But they play on a neutral site to where it's like, you know what? All right, we're going to get together at this site. Everybody's going to be there. Maybe it's not one and done like the NCAA, but they line it up like you said. That's been a good takeaway that the games have started earlier, and they've been back to back to back to back to where it's right there. So I like it.
All right. So these Clippers, yo. All right. I'm sick of them. So, and here's why. First of all, like I've said before, they've gotten passes that no other championship contender has ever got, man. I mean, during the season they said, well, it doesn't matter that they're when they were losing the games and being highly, they're probably the most inconsistent contender that there was. And they were saying, well, it's going to be playoffs. We're going to wait till the playoffs. And ultimately, they were saying, like, the regular season didn't count. So my whole thing was, like, if it didn't count for them, why should it count for the Lakers, right? But it was LeBron. It was LeBron. And then you got somebody like Kawhi Leonard. The way he got to LA was he was a snake. He was like he was a snake about it. And that's fine. But when other top superstars do it, it's a problem. So then it got to where I really have reached my limit was, I think it was last week or the week before, with the whole Dame Lillard situation, where they ultimately tried to bully Dame. And Dame ain't one to be bullied, you know what I'm saying? So he made it a point to let it be known that they're probably still bitter that I put him out the playoffs. And he put both of them out, Beverly and PG. He put them out the same way, in different years on their home court. So they tried to bully him, and I just think that they're super cocky, and they get a bunch of passes, and they haven't accomplished anything. Aside from Kawhi Leonard, most of them on that team don't have deep playoff experience. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if anybody on that team has finals experience except for Kawhi. Noah hasn't. Beverly hasn't. Paul George hasn't. Was Reggie Jackson on that OKC team? I don't think he was on that team.
Yeah, he was on there.
He was on that team that went to the finals?
Yeah, I believe he was the backup point guard.
No, Harden was the backup point guard.
No, Harden was on that team too. I believe. I would have to look, but I believe Reggie Jackson was on that team.
Harden was a rookie that year, and even if he was, that was one finals almost 10 years ago, right? So I don't see where they have the room to talk down to Dame. Dame was just in the conference finals last year. You know what I'm saying? And it was it's annoying.
So here's my take on it, right?
Okay.
So this is why they get it passed. For every reason that you just said.
Here we go.
No, hold on. They're the Clippers. Nobody, no matter how hard you try, no matter who they get, you're right. They haven't won anything. So people are expecting stuff out of them. But the Clippers, they historically been a terrible franchise. People don't hold them, no matter who they get, people don't hold them in the same light yet. Now they're coming, they've got the potential and they got the pieces, but it's hard to really get behind the Clippers because you've seen so much disappointment over the years. Like if the Clippers don't win, life is going to go on. If the Lakers don't win, oh my God. But that's the expectation.
They got everybody. They got Paul George and Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, they do, but they're the Clippers.
His team.
They're the Clippers. Like people have come. So I'll give you another example, right? Houston.
Okay.
Houston, right? They're good, but really, would you be that surprised if they didn't win the championship? You know what I mean? They'll get on Harden a little bit. They'll get on the whole little system, but life will go on. it's not the same allure. They've got to win something before people even start to respect them. And the little stuff that they did to Dame deserve all that, man.
You said
Yeah. He deserved all that, man.
How so?
The way, man, he be trolling and talking mess to everybody. Heck yeah, he deserved all that. He deserved every bit of it. He ain't trying to bully Dame.
They definitely
yeah. Look, I like what Dame does, but at the same time, he talks all types of crap to those guys. I'm not sitting here buying, oh, poor Dame Lillard. Oh, they bullied Dame Lillard.
Poor Dame.
Nah, man, ain't no poor Dame.
No. So you say Dame trolls like what? I want like when?
Man, Dame troll. Bye. I'm waving goodbye to you as I walk off the court. Come on, man. This is part of it. When they took their opportunity,
but that's
and he looked like he was down. And he
had a situation. Like that was. Look, Scott. Let's be real. If you and I are going back and forth, whether it's social media or on the court, because they've been going at it for years, right? And I hit that type of shot to send you home, Scott. Listen, real quick. And I'm not trying to take shots at our boy Charles. Charles, you my guy, man. But when we had our battle on Saturday or Sunday, and I got rid of him on that last round, that's what it is. That's what it is.
So look, right, the type of person that most people are is if you wave bye to me, when you're down, I want to take a shot at you. So he choked. He missed those free throws, and they thought he was going bye-bye. So they took the opportunity to say, you know what? Let's get him. Let's kick a white down. He's going bye-bye now. I don't think it was the right thing to do because he lost a game since, and he went on a tear.
And he had last night? Did he have? He didn't have 4. He had like 37.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but
yeah,
that's the guy. That's the guy that you don't taunt because he's kind of Jordanish, to where like it just takes a little bit to get him motivated. So that's the guy that you really don't. So the Clippers actually shouldn't even said anything to him just off of that. But I can't be mad at Paul George sitting there like, look at this choke artist. He about to choke. Maybe he's going home or taking the opportunity to say something to him.
Paul George has some nerve. Please. He don't have room to talk about it. Yes, I agree. He had a horrific injury. And I get it. But he's had some choke moments too. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't he up 3-2 in the conference finals or
against LeBron? Yeah. He was up.
So I mean, he don't got Beverly. Definitely don't got no, because Beverly can't. He can't hold a candle to Dame.
So that's the other reason why I don't feel sorry for Dame. Dame is mentally tough. He can handle his own, and to be that mentally tough to where it's like, okay, you missed 2 free throws and to come back with a vengeance, that just shows that Mr. LeBron James, you have a killer on the loose. You have to
put him down. You got to put him down.
Yeah, you got to put him down because
it got to be a whole 4 quarters because he can come back. He can shoot them back into the game. You don't hear that metaphor. He can shoot you in the game and he can shoot you out of the game. You never hear that about Dame. It's always Dame's going to shoot you back into the game, and he never shoots them out of the game.
He takes some very questionable shots, and maybe it's just because I have an old school mentality.
At a point, it's not questionable anymore.
Huh?
I said at some point it gets to the point where it's not questionable anymore.
It's questionable for me.
He's doing it way too consistently to say that 36-foot three is questionable.
I think the same thing when I see Steph Curry do it. And I'm just like, man, you could have got a better shot. I get that you can make those, and I get it. I find it really hard to believe standing 5 or 6 foot back from the 3-point line is the best shot that you can get on the offense. But that's my old school mentality. I mean that's
I get that. I get that, right? But let me ask you this, and what's more of a dagger? A 36-foot shot, or just a layup or dunk?
The 36-footer all day. But
you're making them.
Yeah, but it's a difference between taking a 36-footer and it's 3 seconds on the clock, or just coming down and not working through the offense and just pulling up and thinking that you're catching the team in transition.
Your old school is talking now, because it's rare you see teams run set plays anyway. But
I mean, but again, like you said, he makes a lot of them. He makes a huge percentage of them. You're right to the point to where he doesn't shoot his team out. What's scary about him is if he goes 2 up on these Lakers, they're in trouble. That's a guy that the more confidence that he gets, the more trouble that you are. He's going to feed off of that. And when he smells blood, he's going to attack. He is going to attack. So I'm calling for AD. And I'm sure they already know. And I'm calling for LeBron James. You better wake up, because this ain't the guy. He is not the guy.
He ain't the guy. All right, so let's get to the winner of the week.
Okay.
No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner.
All right, man. So my winner of the week this week is John Falk. He's the Hornets broadcaster. And the reason why he's my winner of the week is he was tweeting during the Nuggets and the Utah Jazz game. And he accidentally tweeted the N-word instead of the Nuggets. Now, it's not even about whether or not it's on purpose. I do question how his autocorrect got to that word. so maybe he was using it. I don't know. But at very least, and like I said, it could have been an honest mistake, but you got to be more clever. You got to be more careful. Check behind your tweets. Like, why would you post something like it? It was just terrible, man. But he's on suspension. Is he a racist? I don't know, but he's a dumbass at very least. Yeah, I can't call him a racist, but he is a dummy. That is a dumb. He might have lost his job over autocorrect, man. That's doing too much right there.
I gotta. All right, so help me understand here, Scott. Help me understand. So
I'm trying to.
So Nuggets. I'm trying to say where I made nuggets. Yeah, that's my nuggets. Those my nuggets. Nah, it don't work, Scott. No. So here's the thing. He should be suspended, right? Should he be fired? You know what? Fire him. Because here's the thing. You blame it on autocorrect. And no, I typed in nuggets on my phone.
Right.
That joint ain't come up, y'all. Let me look. And then you think about it. Like the U is next to the I, right? The U is next to the I, right? So if you put niggets.
When I saw that, I wasn't even mad that he even put the M word. I was just like, this guy got to be the biggest idiot. It's just
that fast. You would type that fast where you couldn't figure out that it's the N word. And again, these smartphones may not be that smart, but you even dumber. And it's like, it is what it is, Scott. Somewhere in his life, in his group chat, he might have been in his WhatsApp with his crew, and he typed that word.
Yeah, no.
That word, Scott. it ain't no. Cause trust me, Apple, Samsung, LG, Google, whoever makes phones and whoever has these keyboards.
Oh, yeah, they probably don't even put that in autocorrect.
That ain't on your autocorrect. Now, if they used to the words that you type, it may come up. You know, nah, man, he don't get a pass. So if he loses his job over this, then he should. He should lose his job. And I wouldn't be mad, not one bit, because look at what they did to Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon said some things, and whether they were right, wrong, and indifferent, Nick Cannon is like the poster boy of doing everything right, you know. And so he put one thing. He on his podcast. He went, spoke to a rabbi, and I mean, even so, he got fired. He apologized for it. He was fired. He wasn't suspended. He wasn't. You see somebody like Rush Limbaugh. You know, even when Rush Limbaugh was on ESPN and
the Donovan McNabb thing.
About Donovan McNabb, he wasn't fired immediately. He was suspended. He was suspended first, and he was hung up on what he felt he was right or wrong about. He wasn't gonna really apologize, and that's why he ended up leaving or getting fired from ESPN. He wasn't fired initially. You got somebody like Don Imus. He was suspended. You know, eventually he ended up losing his job. But again, I ain't trying to make it a race thing, but it's a race thing. These white guys say whatever they want. They say whatever they want, how they want to say it, and they make their reprimand would be, you know, let's suspend him. Let's put him on admin leave. Shoot, the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. One's gotten fired, but nobody's been arrested. You know, they haven't been held accountable. So damn right, if he ends up getting fired, fire him. Let him go. Because
I hear you, man.
If it was Scotty B, if it was Anthony Adebayo, we would have been fired.
Oh yeah, touche. All right, so look, I want to switch gears a little bit. Baseball.
No, I'm just joking.
Yeah. Nah, I feel you though. Baseball, man. Fernando Tatis Jr. You have him on one of your fantasy teams.
It's Tatis.
Mm-hmm. Tatis. Fernando Tatis has been playing out of his mind. Leading the league with home runs, leading the league with RBIs, leading the league with steals. Exactly what baseball is needed is that young, new, upcoming star. So a couple. Well, it might have been last night. No, the night before.
A couple nights ago, yeah.
Yeah, a couple of nights ago, he was playing, and it was the eighth inning, and he hit a grand slam.
Right.
And the pitcher that he hit the grand slam off of was suspended for throwing behind a batter. He threw behind Manny Machado. And the reason why he threw behind Manny Machado was it's an unspoken rule in baseball that if you're up, that's considered running the score. The pitch count was 3-0, which if you play baseball, typically you're always taught at the little league level is 3-0, no matter what the pitch is, you don't swing. You don't swing because the odds are there's going to be another ball, and you take the walk and you move on. He swung at that 3-0 pitch, and hit a grand slam, which I can't be mad at him. This was a rule as long as I played baseball, as long as I followed baseball, I had no idea this rule existed. I've heard of running up the score in basketball. I've seen running up the score in football. I didn't know you could run up the score in baseball. I just
run up the score.
You could run up the score, but I didn't know it was a rule that you've got to just stop. Did you know
that? No. And listen, to hell with that manager. All right, we'll get the manager's name. I can't even think of it right now. But no, if I got a 3-0 count, it's already bases loaded. And yeah, I think they were up by 7? It was 10-3 or something like that, right? They were up by 7 in the eighth or whatever inning it was. It doesn't matter because in baseball, it's not like you got time.
It was the top of the eighth.
It was the top of, yeah. So it's not like you have time. So what if he would have took the walk, right? We've seen some crazy things happen. What if he would have took the walk? It would have gave him 1 run, so it would have been 8-3. And I mean, it would have been 11-3, right? And then the bottom of the 8th, they go off and score 8-9 runs in the inning, which we have seen. I think we just saw it. I think we just saw it in the World Series last year. So you score all these runs. So now what? And then they end up losing by 2, just for the sake of argument. No, if I see a pitch that I like, I'm swinging. I don't care if it's 3-0, 3-1, full count. I don't care. No, because if that was the case, if you were going to walk him, he would have threw it out of the strike zone instead of throwing it right down the middle. No way.
The other thing too, though. Okay, so you bring up 2 points, right? Contracts are decided by stats a lot of times, so you got to get your stats. Yep. But the other thing is, I am sick and tired of baseball trying to police their own sport with all these crazy rules between the bat flip and now running up the score and just. I mean, all these rules. Yeah, it's like, yo, you guys are grown men competitors. Like, nobody cares about all this stuff to where, and that's what they were saying too, that, he's a young guy, so they got to get him under control. And, one article I read too almost had a racial component to it to where, it's, they want to control the young black guys. It's just getting out of hand. I'm sick and tired. Every year, it's a different rule that we find out in baseball. Like, oh, it's this rule, or oh no, is it? You can't steal signs, or you can't do this.
You can't steal signs, Scott. You can't steal signs, but I understand. And no. Forget those unwritten rules. If it's not a written rule, if it's not in the rule book, if I'm not breaking any official rules, then man, you better get out of here. If you don't like to stop,
signs ain't in the rule book,
huh?
Still signs ain't in the rule book. That's why none of those players got suspended.
Yeah, but that's.
I mean, I get it. It's an integrity issue. I mean, taking steroids wasn't in the rule book. You know what I mean? But they condemned Bonds and they condemned Sammy Sosa and McGuire for doing it. It wasn't in the rule book.
And baseball ate off of that.
They ate off of it. I mean, yeah, it's a moral compass. I get it, but it's not as black and white to say that you can't do it.
Right. Like not voting for somebody 9 times in a row. Yo, Scott, I just want to let everybody know that right now, currently, we're in the fantasy baseball league, and normally I kind of stay away from fantasy baseball because it takes too long. But it's only 60 games. I'm like, I'm down. So right this week, as we speak right now, my co-host is competing against me, and I'm really kicking his ass. I'm really beating him down. Oh yeah, you can go search. It's 8-1. So yes,
but you know what though, real talk though, damn, I am losing to you. You got a good team. Yeah, a really, really, really good team. No excuses. In other sports, normally, you draft your team and it's a little bit more controlled. This was an auto pick team or whatever, so I've got to do some maneuvering. But you didn't have no reason. Nobody wanted to do a live fantasy baseball draft anyway. I didn't want to do it. But the computer drafted you a really good.
Hey, I put a wait. I put a little bit of work in there. I drafted.
You might have. You might have
work in there, and I made sure that my team was up to par. But yeah, it's I figured, I just let everybody know that I'm any chance I get when I'm competing against you, I want to let everybody know that I'm beating them. After this week, I should be in first place.
I'm in first place now, right? I don't think I'm in first.
No. You're in third, actually, right? You know, like a game.
Okay, so I fell out of first place.
You have more losses than me. I have one.
Oh, but I got more wins than everybody.
You have more, yeah.
Yeah, I have more wins, but okay, so by default. But if this keeps up, I won't have to worry about being in first.
All right, so we're gonna go right to we're gonna go back. We're gonna get into like I guess some controversial topics real quick. I won't say real quick, but two things. Darius Geis. When I tell you what, that Washington football team, they're not playing around. You know, was it last week he was released? I think it was last week he was released.
2 hours after he was arrested.
2 hours after he was arrested, and was he charged? I think I guess he was charged.
I think he was supposed to be charged today, I believe.
Yeah, so he wasn't even charged. He was just arrested and all that stuff. But he got arrested for a domestic dispute, and they cut him. They got him out of there. They waived him. And now it's like where there's smoke, there's fire, because I want to say either today or yesterday, there are reports that he had two reports of rape while he was at LSU. It was allegedly or reportedly reported to the football team or some administration at LSU, and they either did nothing about it or they just swept it under the rug or both. You know, so and now again, we weren't there, we don't know, but it's starting to add up. I mean, it's starting to like rack up now. Is you had your incident last week or 2 weeks ago, and now things from a few years ago are starting to pop up. So what now? Because his career could potentially be over.
Well, you know what? I'm not even as concerned with Darius Geis. I'm concerned more about the institute not doing nothing to protect those young ladies. And this speaks to something that is kind of going on now, to where I think people have always knew it, but it's really speaking to the volume of like college sports and how much money and how much control they have over these universities. And what it boils down to is, if you're a star running back, the university, it's in their interest to protect you. You know what I mean? And you see it throughout a lot of universities is they don't want to mess up with what's going on in the program, because it's the bag. It's the money. It's how the school funds a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And then it gets into a lot of the, should the players be paid? And, we've had this discussion numerous times. Yeah, they should be paid, because we're seeing now how important they really are to, I want to just say, the success of the university, but the money that they're bringing in. Coach K went on the record, I want to say it was last week, and he started talking about like the NCAA tournament. And he said that I think he quoted some number to where the NCAA tournament brings in like 90% of the revenue for like college basketball. And he said pretty much that if we don't play NCAA tournament this year, it would destroy college basketball. So when you take a step back, you're like, okay, that makes sense. But then if you really think about how much money that is, 90% of what they're raking in, I'm sure he has an idea of how much money is being funneled through all of it. And then you take college football, which is a bigger giant and animal in its own. I mean, you look at the effect that it would have on some of these small towns. Like we're talking about LSU. You take LSU football away from that small town, and we'll see like all the revenue that is tied up into it. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, man, and you're right. You're right. Why didn't the university do something? So again, I don't think anything's going to happen to the university. It's not like they're going to get fined or suspended or anything. So, but something should happen. If this comes out to be true, Darius Geis deserves whatever he gets.
So here's the thing, and this is where it's a little murky. The university is saying that that's never true. There was no police record or no official record that was taken by the university.
I don't trust that. I don't trust that. I mean, because they could have got rid of it for all we know, or
Yeah.
she could have went to the police. She could have went to the police because we've seen it before. She could have gone to the police station or the two separate women and made a report, but the officer probably didn't write it down, or as soon as they wrote it down, due to the way it's a star football player. So
oh no, I'm not questioning that. I'm just saying, like, in that situation, it's a lot harder to like prove. You know what I mean? I'm not questioning that this ain't go on and they ain't tell whoever. I'm just saying, like, they pretty much have washed their hands of it, and it's going to take a lot. It's going to take somebody that actually wants to investigate it and really dedicate the actual resources to figure out if this really happened. You know, it's not as cookie cutter as, oh yeah, this police report was filed on this day, or this person talked to this person. Here's this record. This person failed to follow up on it. So that's all I'm saying.
And don't get me wrong. If these girls are like, if they happen to be lying, then they should be held accountable. And Darius Geis should be cleared of everything. And even with this domestic dispute, we don't know. But if he didn't do these things and they are, trying to hold his feet to the fire for something that he didn't do, then yes, whoever it is should be held accountable.
When there's smoke, there's fire, and right now, it's not looking good for him. I mean, everybody's innocent are proven guilty, but normally in these situations, when there's smoke, there's fire. Hopefully, he gets the help that he needs, and it'll go from there. But the bigger thing that, and we'll talk about it some more, is money that's being made off of college football and how they're fighting tooth and nail to have the season. I saw something with Lane Kiffin, and Lane Kiffin had a point to an extent. He felt like that the NCAA shouldn't penalize players that transfer to other schools that are playing.
Right.
Which
yeah, of course, because his team is in season.
Right.
No. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Not one bit.
You know what? My mindset has changed on it so much to where, since there's so much money being made, the athletes, and you've been an advocate of this for a long time, they should just have a voice in it. They should be able to go where they want to go. Like it shouldn't be this, oh, you're tied to this or you're tied to that. I think that if you're somewhere and you feel like the opportunities are not there, you should be able to go to wherever you want to go to. You shouldn't be tied into, oh, okay, well, they don't like me here, but I've got to sit out a year and I've got to uproot my family. Nah, you should be able to leave those situations.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I get it. I do. I get it. And we'll see what happens. I don't think that's gonna fly though. I mean, especially since a lot of stuff.
Oh, it's not gonna fly. No, it's not gonna fly. I just thought it was an interesting comment. And you're right. It's not gonna fly.
All right. So lastly, I think we should talk on this. Masai Ujiri.
Oh, okay.
He is. I guess he is the GM, right? He's the GM.
Yeah, president. Yeah, President Roush.
So last year during the finals, a sheriff's deputy accused him of pretty much of getting his butt kicked by Masai Ujiri, and he played the victim. Oh my God, he played the victim and lied. I mean, it's at that time it was 2019. There are cameras everywhere. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this was his body cam. But so the camera footage showed that this sheriff's deputy aggressively started it and shoved Masai Ujiri. And at that point, now whatever claims, everything should be thrown out against Masai Ujiri. Everything. And we have to start doing more investigating and research before we just try and freaking criminalize people. You know what I'm saying? Because they were ready to find him. I don't think he would have lost his job or anything, but they were ready to make him look like a fool, you know. And it comes out that this guy lied, and he attacked this guy first, and Masai Ujiri responded and did what he had to do.
Well, I just say it's like this, right? He was fortunate that guy was wearing a body cam. I think like we've been conditioned as a society that we always believe law enforcement. If law enforcement said you did it, I mean, I'm not saying I do, but our justice system is designed that way. If law enforcement said that you did it, you did it. And a lot of people are not able to have the resources that he has. You know what I mean? He was able to get a good dream team lawyers. His lawyers were able to work this case. Fortunately, a lot of people aren't able to use those resources. And unfortunately, like this type of thing happens all the time. I mean, shout out to him. It's sad that at a moment to where he wanted to rejoice with all his team, a team that he put together, a team where he defied the odds and ended up winning a championship. He had to deal with some bull crap like that. But that's part of the problem with a lot of the police is they are over aggressive. You know what I mean? And to make matters worse, I couldn't imagine a deputy sheriff or whatever he was being able to put his hands on a white president of a team of operations and keep his job, let alone say he's going to sue him. If he would have touched any other executive, they would have walked that sheriff out the door. Like legitimately, like you're trying to stop arguably one of the most important people in that moment in that stadium from trying to walk to the floor. You would never be doing this. He'd have lost a sheriff's job. He wouldn't be able to go a lawsuit. It wouldn't even matter if the president would have pushed him first. He would have been banned from doing security or law enforcement wherever. So the fact that he's even got some sort of claim going, it's absurd. But shout out to him, man. I hope we think everything's gonna go his way. I'm glad that body cam shows it shows that it don't matter how successful you are or the level of success you have, the level of success, it can't shield you from inequality, man. As a black man, because like you said, if that was a white president, first of all, he probably went, oh, you know, is it a white guy in a suit? He probably went, oh, hey, you know, let's go. But you know, first of all, this guy, and he had a lanyard in his hand. He had his credential in his hand, and he even said he was the president of the Raptors. But the dude wasn't trying to hear him, and he was like, well, this is my job, and I'm just gonna do whatever. And it wasn't right, man. That wasn't right, and this guy should be fired. Yeah, I know we talking about taking people's job, but again, this guy should be fired. And honestly, Masai Ujiri should sue him. Now he's got a good counterclaim, and it'll be all good, and justice will prevail. But nah, I mean,
it's crazy. So again, man, I hope everything works out. But man, this was fun, man. This was fun. All right, real quick before we get out of here, Scott, give the people your Hey, before you give the people your let me give you a little introduction. Hey, listen, everybody. Go follow Scotty B on all socials. Facebook. We don't have Twitter yet. We're gonna do that by the end of this week. We're gonna make sure Scotty has his Twitter available.
Scott Q Smith on Instagram, man. Yeah, man. You got a birthday coming up, man. So you got any plans?
No. I'll probably be I'll figure something out. Ain't much you can do with COVID. We may have I don't know. I have no clue, Scott. We probably gonna do a battle on Sunday. I probably just hang out with the kids, with the family, and I don't know.
I'm battling this Sunday, so I'm about to get prepared. I've been preparing. I want to put on a show on Sunday. Not really am.
So something that we are gonna do. We're gonna invite a lot of our friends on here that partake in the battles with us. We may do a battlegrounds episode of Off the Record, man. So because we talk about it kind of fairly often, and I think we should get him a little bit of shine. Get him a little bit. You're like, hey, say your name, I buy. But
yeah, we'll put something together, man. I have some ideas, man. One idea that must have been a bad idea because nobody commented on it. I wanted to do like a Zoom court.
Before you go there, it was I think at the time when you mentioned it, and now we're getting on a side conversation tangent, but that's fine. We just.
I want to throw my idea out there, yo. I think it.
So yeah, throw it out there, and I think now
throw it out there.
Everything's been cooler heads have prevailed. And
I ain't even talking about that. What I'm talking about is a small claims court. Bring your issues to Scotty B. Bring your issues. I was thinking like we can get like Shantina because she's a real judge or a real lawyer, and she's got the credentials, man. But yeah, you should be able to battle it out on Zoom, man. Just lay your complaints out there. If you got a relative that owes you money,
Scott, y'all, I'm still teaching Scott. Don't give out all your ideas on air, man. Then you're gonna see somebody do it, and you're gonna be like,
ain't nobody taking that idea. That's one of those ideas that I don't think people see. They can't see it. They can't see it, but it can be huge.
You're gonna be sick when that joint is on NBC, a Zoom court. So look,
I'll be like my grandfather, right? He swears up and down he invented putting water in the bottle. He swears that was his idea. He was doing it first, and he was like, "Look, I would take old Coke bottles and I put water in it. I never in a million years thought you could sell it."
Hey, you
never know, man. You never know.
All right, well, follow us on those socials down there somewhere. Twitter is the OTR brand. Instagram is the Off the Record Show. Facebook is Off the Record. Me personally is Vipers31 on Instagram and Twitter. Sheesh. Let's give a shout out to TCT Design. They're actually putting together our website for Off the Record. So we'll have an Off the Record website where you can go and listen to the show, listen or watch the show live, download old episodes, request whatever, and it'll be real interactive and things of that nature. So we're working on that, and so shout out to them. Shout out to Scotty. And I guess I don't think we got anything else to talk about, man.
Nah, man, we good.
All right. This is Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
With Scotty B.
Anthony Adebayo.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes. You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo, and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.